Hey YouTube! So, I am coming back. I finally decided that I definitely am coming back. And as I said on a broadcast with the wonderful Joy Sparkle BS, I mentioned that I'm gonna make my first video be about Reiley J. Dennis. Okay, and it took me a while, about like 3 minutes, while I was on her, his. I'm sorry. I don't know what Riley's pronouns are supposed to be. They, she, whatever. Um, their website, their YouTube, and I came across this wonderful video over here on the left, and it's a video I haven't seen before from Reiley, and I'm hoping that if we take the discussion away from transgender activism, I can actually talk to Reiley on a topic that isn't related to trans exclusive issues, especially since the title says rape culture and not trans safety. So I hope that Reiley sticks with their stated goal in this video. So let's see.
Hi everybody, my name is Reiley. I'm an activist and a public speaker, and one of the issues I'm most passionate about is rape culture. You may have heard this term before, and it has slightly different definitions depending on who you ask, but I'd say it's a culture in which rape is normalized, excused, or ignored to a high degree by many people, particularly those in positions of power. I would argue that our culture fits this definition, especially at colleges and universities.
Let me rewind that. Rape culture, normalized, excused, or ignored to high degree by many people. That's the only part I can see because of the commercial, but let's see. America. Let's use America because that's where Reiley and I are right now. I can't speak. Is rape normalized in our culture? No, people go to jail for rape. Excused? No, people go to jail for rape. Ignored? No, people go to jail for rape. Accepted by many people? No, we send people to jail for rape. We don't live in a rape culture. But, okay, I'll give you that. People do shitty things to other people.
Positions of power. I would argue that our culture fits this definition, especially at colleges and universities. That does not mean people would say they are okay with rape. It just means that there's a systemic problem with how we deal with sexual assault. I realize
nowhere in your definition did it say that, it said normalized. We do not normalize sexual assault. It's a crime. We do not normalize sexual harassment. It's enough to get someone a restraining order. So I don't know where this is coming from.
Rape culture has become a highly divisive issue for a lot of people who want to argue about its existence. So whether you want to use the term or not, I thought we could go over some facts and statistics that demonstrate a problem, and then look at how we can solve that problem, regardless of what you want to call it. Because
give me a minute. Let me see if I can find my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guide to what statistics covers. Oh wait, I don't need it. Statistics is the study of data structures. Data structures are only as good as the source where the data comes from. So let's see what sources you say you're using.
The fact is, about 1 in 4 cis women report being sexually assaulted during their 4 years at college.
Citation needed. Is it in here? Sources. 2015 AAU study. Let's see. AAU climate survey, sexual. Non-consensual sexual contact, that's not rape. By physical force, threats of physical force or okay. One in four, that's 20, it's 25%. Reiley, we already have an issue. You're saying that the rate is 25% when the study you cited is saying just under 12%. Where are you getting the 1 in 4 statistic? I don't see it here, Reiley. A relatively small percentage, 28% or less. Most serious incidents are reported to organization or agency. That doesn't say anything though. That's 28% of 11.7%. So that's a really small number. It's getting close to the number of trans people that exist in the world. Okay, I'm done being silly. But seriously, where is the 1 in 4 statistic? I don't see it here. Images, survey materials, methodology. Nope, it's not here, Reiley. Okay, let's see if it's in another one of your sources. Schools currently, no. Schools with 0 reported rapes. That's a good thing, right? Hundreds of schools had 0 rape reports in 2014, and that could be worrisome. If someone chooses not to report a rape, then by the school's definition, that's the only thing they can go off of. You can't say, oh, I was raped on my campus, but not tell the people on your campus. You have to report it. If you don't, then don't be shocked when the results don't show. One in 5 college women say they were violated. What are they defining as violated? No, seriously. Like, so far, none of your sources. Okay, yeah, your Title IX rights. Watch more. You make a video on such an important topic and you only cite 4 links, 4 sources. And one of them's the Washington Post. 2 of them are Title IX, which isn't, so far I haven't seen it to be relevant to what you're talking about, but we'll see.
For trans people, that statistic is almost 1 in 3, and for cis men, it's about 1 in 15. And these
Again, I didn't see those numbers in your statistic. The trans person one also, there hasn't been any studies done on that I'm aware of. And if there was, our trans community is such a tiny little population that even if they had like a sample size of, let's say, 60, it wouldn't really cover our whole community. We are very diverse, but we're also very small. The only way that I would trust your 1 in 3 statistic for trans people being assaulted is if you told me that you saw that in the transgender census, and even then I would take it with a grain of salt because I wasn't a part of the transgender census. A lot of my friends didn't know the transgender census was going around. A lot of people were not counted in that census. There are kids who were under the age of 18 who couldn't be counted in that census. So, also, do we really need to have a term for non-trans people? I mean, I want to know. If anyone knows, please in the comments post. Where did we get this term cis or cisgender from? Was it did it start out with Tumblr? Is it actually in psychological and sociological classifications? Or is it a Tumblrism? Because it annoys me that people are labeling everyone with a new term. You're a woman, you're a man, or you're transgender. If you're transgender, you are either a trans woman or a trans man. Or, I guess in Reiley's case, well, I don't know what Reiley's supposed to be, actually. I'm still confused about this. I'm sorry, Reiley. I know you're probably an adult now, but this kid, I don't know.
Numbers are probably low for a lot of reasons, including the fact that many survivors feel ashamed of what happened to them and the fact that we have a cultural taboo around discussing sexual assault. There's clearly a problem here. It's a problem that affects people of all genders, but it appears to disproportionately affect cis women and trans people. These statistics come.
I would love to know if that 1 in 3 statistic is from the census. How is it subdivided down? Is it 1 in 3 trans individuals, and then underneath that, half, no, 1 in 3, 1 in 6 trans men? Or how is it classified? Like, how is it structured? What is the percentage for trans men, trans women? And I know that there are people out there who classify gender nonconforming under this, and I know a lot of hospitals that put them together. So, yeah, gender nonconforming, what percentage of them have higher chances of sexual assault? Just because you're throwing numbers at me doesn't mean I'm inclined to believe them, Reiley. Do you see what I'm doing here?
From the 2015 Association of American Universities study that surveyed 27 schools and over 150,000 students.
150,000 students. Oh, that was that first link. Wait, those first set of statistics didn't have anything behind them? Reiley. You realize I have to throw out your first minute and a half of your entire video and ignore all of it. Ignore it because you haven't cited proof of your claims. And the study that you're using to back you up says 11.7%, not 20%.
It was a massive, comprehensive, well-executed study that gave us amazing new data to look at what's going on. So those statistics from earlier were about sexual assault, which is an umbrella term that includes actions such as rape, which can be defined as forced penetration. If we narrow
But it also had groping and what was this other one?
a term
Groping,
that includes actions such as
abuse, and rape. Convenient. Convenient. You showed that it's subdivided into three, but you did it quick enough where you could cover this part up and act like, oh, but it's all about rape. You're not even. When are we going to get to the how to fight? There is an issue, I'll admit it. But rape is an issue in every culture. We're just not a rape culture, is what I'm trying to get at here, Justin. Reiley. God, I'm not used to that new name.
rape, which can be defined as forced penetration. If we narrow it down to just completed rape,
Forced penetration, meaning guys can't fall under that category. Meaning your statistic, the 1 in 15, if they can't be, if a cis male can't be raped, then what are they reporting in that 1 in 15 statistic? Are they reporting groping? Are they reporting threats of assault? What are they reporting? Reiley, you can't just take a study, find some cherry-picked information from it, and not expect us to go and read it. You should know better than this. You're an adult. Grow up.
we find that 14% of cis women, 15% of trans people, and 3% of cis men report being raped at some point during their 4 years at college. It's a smaller statistic than the sexual assault one, but it's still way too high. When we talk about addressing rape culture at a societal level, it can feel like a huge, daunting task. But if you're a college student, there are steps you can take to make your campus safer. One of the things the AAU study found was that there was a huge range in rates of sexual assaults, meaning some schools had much higher or lower rates than others. That means that something can be changed at a local level. You could make your school one of the safest, and other schools could use yours as a template for how they should behave. So, what can you do?
Great. Are we going to start talking about safe spaces, Reiley? Please tell me you're not going to talk about just having safe spaces for everyone. Please. Tell me something useful. Please. Because don't get me wrong, safe spaces for certain groups are important. For example, at my college, I'm a part of a Asian American and Pacific Islander equality group. We get together once a month and we talk about like issues and impacting our ethnicity and our race. But that's not a safe space because we allow anyone to come in. But whatever happens in that group stays in that group. That's why it's a safe space. But that does not, what happens in those walls does not extend out. The protection we have in those walls does not extend out to the rest of society. We can't say, well, I'm part of this group, so you have to be really nice to me. No. You're more than happy to vent your frustrations in the group, but once you've left that room, you have to know how to cope outside. So I hope you're not going to say safe spaces. Please, Reiley, please, 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 please. For the love of any god that might exist, please. I know I'm probably praying for nothing here, but there's a tiny sliver of hope that Reiley might actually have a sensible thought. Okay, that was a little bit ad hominem, but still, hopefully you're not going to mention safe spaces. Because I'm kind of scared.
Well, first, you have to know what your school is required to do. The main law you want to keep in mind here is Title IX. Most people know of Title IX because it deals with equal treatment in sports programs, but it has a bunch of other parts that are often overlooked. One of those is that your school has to be proactive in preventing sexual violence on its campus. And if your school is not doing that, you can pressure them to do that. Currently,
I don't know what state you're in, Reiley, but I know in California, yeah, we are very bubbled when it comes to our school. It does keep us in a like safe zone while you're on that campus. And I don't think that there are that many times. It doesn't matter what our school does to be proactive to prevent sexual violence. There are times, even in my school, that's very, very, very sheltered because I live in California. Even my school can't prevent every sexual violent act. And I hope that's not what you're saying.
only 285 universities across the US are being investigated by the federal government for not meeting all of the Title IX requirements. Any student can file a complaint to start a Title IX investigation if they were discriminated against for their gender or affected by a hostile sexual environment. You can go to know.
Okay. That's interesting. Let me see what is it this one? Title IX. That's a lot of investigations. Okay, this doesn't tell me anything, so I think I maybe need to open the other Title IX link. Unless you want me to use the one. No, it's this one. Okay. Know your Title IX. Campus Policy Guide. Okay, I want to. Basics. Title IX, the basics. Prohibits sexual discrimination in education. Does not apply to female students only. Your school must be proactive in ensuring your campus is free of sexual discrimination. Okay, so that means if you are a girl and you want to go and be a part of a sports team, and there's a boys' sports team at your school, they have to offer a girls' sports team of that same sport so you can attend. If you're a guy and you want to attend a home ec type study thing, like you want to learn how to sew, they have to give you a seat in the home ec class or the sewing class, even though it's more common for girls to be the ones to go for those kind of things. They can't discriminate on that basis, but that doesn't say that they're supposed to make a bubble world where you can't get sexually harassed or sexually abused or sexually violated. You have to be vigilant. Society sucks. And you're talking about college here, Reiley, not high school. High school is a lot more protected than college. Why? Because you're a minor when you're in high school. Number 4, your school must have established procedure for handling complaints of sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, or sexual violence. Most colleges have that. And if you don't believe me, go and talk to your counselor. They'll point you in the right direction. And if you can't get access to your counselor, talk to admissions. And if you can't get access to admissions, go to your campus police. Almost every college that I know of in the United States has a campus police. And they're probably going to be the ones you're going to end up talking to. But if you don't feel comfortable going up to the campus police alone, that's fine. Get a friend to come with you. I know you all have friends in college. Who doesn't? But you have to be proactive about these things. Otherwise, the school's going to think it's doing a good job when it might not be. It's your job as much as it's the school's. Number 6, your school may not retaliate against someone filing a complaint and must keep the victim safe from other harassment or behavior. Yeah, but you have to report what's going on first in order for that to happen. Number 7, your school can issue a no contact directive to prevent the accused student from approaching or interacting with you. Essentially, that would be like a restraining order. Yeah, but like I said, you have to report the person. Your school, all the schools that I know of, including the ones in the conservative states, I believe, have these in place. You just have to go and make sure you report it. In cases of sexual violence, your college is prohibited from encouraging or allowing mediation rather than a formal hearing of the complaint. I don't know, because I've never filed a complaint like that. But I would think that would make sense. Because you don't want the person who's been sexually harassed or sexually abused or raped or groped or in any kind of bad situation with someone on that campus to be put in mediation, be across from the person they're accusing, and for them to, give in. You want them to do a formal hearing. You want them to look into all facts, make sure you don't have any mental health issues that are being worsened or have started because of this traumatic event. And I'm sorry, Reiley, but I'm looking through this, and I don't think any college that I know of has done anything that doesn't follow those parts of the Title IX. So, I don't know. I don't know where you're coming from. I wish I did. And Reiley, please wear a scarf. I'm sorry, it's annoying.
knowyourix.org to learn more about all of the rules and procedures involved with that. But before filing a complaint, you can pressure your school to change its policies using some form of social action. If you're a part of the student media, you can write investigative articles examining how your school handles reports of sexual assault. If you're a part of an LGBTQ+ group or an anti-sexual violence group, you can draft a letter and submit it to your school's dean or president. And if those groups don't exist, you can start one. If you think your school is sweeping reports of sexual assault under the rug, you can call them out on it. If you don't feel that your student body is educated enough on consent, encourage them to do more. There's a lot you have the power to do. One thing you can do is try to find out how your school handles cases when it finds someone to be guilty of sexual assault. Does your school expel them, suspend them, give them a slap on the wrist? Find out. And if you can't find out, demand that information. Because schools shouldn't be letting rapists stay on campus, but many times they actually do. The pieces of legislation relevant to this are the clear...
Okay, so this is the one thing I agree with you on here, Reiley. And only reason why I say this is because at my college, there was a guy who was known for raping girls in the back of his car. And there had been, I think it was like 3 people who had reported him, and he'd been found guilty of it all 3 times. But because none of them then filed it with the local police because they didn't want to get the guy arrested because they didn't file it with the local police. The school allowed him back every single time on a provisional student license. And the issue with this, Reiley, is what you're talking about here can apply to a lot of things. It can apply to community college, which is what I'm in, where it's open to everyone regardless of past felonies, past actions, everything. Like, it doesn't matter what you've been through, you're allowed at my school. Unless you've been expelled. But even an expelled student can get back in. There are people who have gone back in because all they have to do is submit, I think it's like a 2-page essay saying why they feel like they need to be back in that college. And if it gets approved, they're back in. As for something like Yale or Cornell or some of these very expensive private schools and UC public schools, those universities, you can bet, I'm pretty sure, that they wouldn't let something like that happen. They would get rid of a student and expel them permanently for something like this, Reiley. So I want to know, specifically, when you say schools, are you talking about colleges? Are you talking about universities? Are you talking about high schools? Because if you're talking about high schools, I'd love to hear which high schools so we can maybe improve them so that people aren't getting injured, because it's minors we're talking about. And if it's colleges, which specific colleges? Because I didn't see anything in your sources that you've been providing. So, oh my god, it's only been almost 4 minutes into this. How long have I been recording? 30 minutes?
Clery Act and FERPA. The Clery Act requires every college to report to the federal government every year with the number of how many people were sexually assaulted at their school. You can Google this information for any school, and they are legally required to have it publicly available online. If they don't, write to someone in your administration and ask for it, because you have a right to that information. Now, interpreting these numbers can be tricky. You would think that a low number of reports would be good, because that means people aren't being raped. But that's just not true. Despite what the AAU study found, 1,300 universities reported 0 sexual assaults in 2014. So it's not that rape isn't happening on those campuses, it's just that people aren't reporting it. So a higher number of reports probably means that your school is doing a better job creating a safe environment for folks to report. Of course,
why do I feel like that's a logical fallacy, Reiley? Okay. First of all, maybe someone didn't get raped that year. 2, maybe they were sexually harassed, but they weren't raped. If they report sexual harassment, but they weren't physically touched, it won't count as sexual assault, and it won't count as rape, meaning it wouldn't be in the statistics. Reiley, don't encourage people to rape people, man. Stop. Don't encourage there to be a higher number. It's true, yes, you want people to feel comfortable to come and report rape, but don't encourage people to go and rape someone so that that person goes and reports them. This is madness. No.
Schools tend to think that a high number would be bad publicity, and therefore they have little motivation to make students feel comfortable reporting. Once you know how many reports of sexual assault there were at your school in a given year, you can begin to ask what happened in those cases. Your school is required to investigate every single report, so there should be some kind of outcome. Many colleges and universities will cite FERPA, which is a piece of legislation made to protect students' privacy, and they'll say that they can't provide that information. That's a lie and an excuse. When I was in college, I worked at the student newspaper, and we pushed this issue with the administration. We talked
FERPA does not prevent schools from releasing a list of punitive actions taken in cases where a student was found guilty. Is FERPA on this side too? No, I don't see FERPA on here. Okay.
To Frank Lamonte, the executive director of the Student Press Law Center, and he even wrote into our paper to tell our dean of students that the list of punitive actions taken in cases of sexual assault could be released and was not protected by FERPA. So if you don't know what punitive actions were taken against people who were found guilty of sexual assault at your school, demand that the administration tell you. Unfortunately, they're not required to, but nothing is stopping them, and that information can help reassure students that appropriate action is being taken. So, to recap, rape culture is a problem at college, but you can do something about it. I suggest you learn about your rights under Title IX, and I encourage you to pressure your college's administration to better address sexual violence. You can fight for mandatory lessons on consent. You can demand...
No. Don't fight for mandatory lessons on consent. No matter how many consent lessons you have in your school, it's not going to fix the fact that people can be jerks. If you don't know the consent law, the laws of what it is, what is the difference between rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment, by the time you are 19, 20 years old, and you grew up in America, shame on you shame on your high school and your middle school, because that's when you learn this kind of stuff. Not in the middle of writing one. Not in the middle of intro to astronomy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe require a counseling class that covers this, like for maybe, a day or two? Maybe include it in a counseling class, but don't require people to take lessons, plural, on this. Consent is not that hard. Did they say no? Then if you do anything, you are an asshole. If someone touches your shoulder and you say, I don't want to be touched, and they then come back 2 seconds later and touch you again, that is them going against your consent. If someone says they want to have sex with you and you say no, and they do it anyways, that's rape. It's not that hard to know this kind of stuff, Reiley. What do you mean lessons, plural? Release the outcomes of cases of sexual assault. I don't know.
Demand to know how the school handles cases of sexual assault, and you can create a better environment just by raising awareness. This video just covers a very small portion of my full presentation on rape culture, which is a little over an hour long. I'm currently taking booking requests for the spring 2017 semester, so if you'd like to have me come to your school to talk about rape culture, feminism, or queer identity, there will be a link to a request form you can fill out on my website in the description below. And this video is a part of my Feminism with Reiley series that I'm doing in collaboration with Everyday Feminism.
You want to go around and preach an hour of this to college students? It's only 20 seconds left. I can do this.
A website dedicated to helping you stand up to and break down everyday oppression. Be sure to share this video if you think it could be helpful to someone, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
What did I just watch? Okay.